Record Show.
And co-host Marine Corps Map, coming to you on Monday and Tuesdays in Studio A, noon to 2 Eastern.
And Studio B on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern, with educational, instructional, information, and situational updates, often with wonderful guests on the current landscape in the U.S. and overseas.
This is a go.
We are with you, side to side, and back to back.
Please join us on Monday through Wednesdays,
as well as other hosts and guests here on Revolution Radio.
We're not gonna take it anymore. That's right, we're not gonna take it anymore. We said we're not gonna take it anymore. That's right, we're not gonna take it anymore.
I'm Reverend Medium Tracy Lockwood, and I'd like to invite you to join me as I discuss life from a medium's perspective. I'll be talking about insights that I've gained through readings, with topics like your guides, angels, animal communication, past lives, our transition, and the afterlife. We'll take a deeper look at the metaphysical meanings of symbols and totems, and I'll give you some practical exercises to help you develop your own natural psychic ability. Join me on From a Medium's Perspective.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Well, it's time to stumble down the road with host Bridgette Lynn Dolgoff and co-host Jannie Vaught as they carry stones, dig holes, and wield their shovels along the way. On Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. This is not a seated event as they talk, run, stumble, carry, dig, drag, laugh, fight, sing and pray, dance and kick and scream, and oftentimes fall. Hey, is that a stone or a buffalo check? Now, here are your hosts for the next 2 hours on carrying stones and digging holes.
Hi, Bridgette. Can you hear me?
But I won't be there.
I can't hear you. Hold on. I think I lost the studio. I don't know where it's at. I can't.
Okay, I'm putting my earphones on.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if we're live or not. I have no idea.
I don't hear the intro.
Well, it was playing until I answered you, and then I think we got kicked off. Okay. I need to find out. Hold on one second. Anyway, if you're on, it's I'm trying to multitask here because I have to do everything. So, and it's been kind of a frustrating morning. So you're listening to Carrying Stones and Digging Holes radio show on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, and I'm just trying to see if I can reach out to some other people on Skype and find out if anyone can hear me. And I can't.
Hello.
Yeah. So I have no idea. I have zero.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't tell if.
You need to hang up and reconnect.
No, because it won't help. But I don't see. I'm trying to see. Says I don't think I'm on. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me see. You know, they changed Skype, and so it's become like a, it's easy for everything else, but it's pretty hard for the radio show, trying to get guests on and things of that nature. So, uh-oh. All right, I have no idea. Okay, I don't know what to do.
Well, here we are.
No. Yeah. So hold on a second. Here I found a thing where I can go. Let me see if I can. I'm going to put this out just to see if I get anything back. So that way I know if we're actually on air or we're not on air, because I have a feeling that we may have gotten booted off when I answered Jannie. Oh, here we go. We're getting a response. Hold on a second.
Yay! Someone's out there talking back.
I know. Let's see. All right. Hey, and Lenny is responding, so I appreciate that because he was gonna. Oh, okay. He said he's not on the listening yet. He's on the phone, so he can't help us. Okay, so
okay.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. Says that it is live. All right. Well,
then, okay.
I'm just gonna go, and if somebody tells me that we're not live or whatever else, yeah, I'm gonna put on here. All right, so anyway. Okay, anyway, so we'll just kind of go on with it, and if anybody's listening, great, and if nobody's listening because we're not even actually on air, then maybe at some point somebody will message me back and let me know that you can't hear me, and I didn't, I got cut off the show and we're not on the show. So I wish I knew.
Wouldn't the show let you know?
No, because on the weekends you're kind of on your own.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, we're on our own and we don't know. That's all right. We're swimming in a sea of mystery.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll just see how it goes, and we'll just, if we're on, great, and if we're not on, and that's fine too. And so we'll just fly by the seat of our pants, and if anybody lets us know any different, or Jannie, then we'll actually try to get back on.
Well, when Summer comes back in the house, I can have her go online and see if we're on.
Yeah. But, you know what? Yeah. Let me check that. Hey, let me go to Revolution Radio and see if we can listen, if I can hear myself on here.
Right on.
All right. Let's see what that's going to be like. Okay. So let's see. That's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah. Just use another device.
Yeah. So hold on one second. Let me see what we have here.
Well, I'm taking notes.
Okay, all right. So I think that we're live. So
all right, everybody. Bye.
Okay, so we're good to go. We've solved the problem. I figured it out. I, managed myself. I managed it. Okay. So
all right.
Our guest, we have no idea what our guest is doing, so we're not going to judge him. But we had kind of a bit of flakeroonie, so we're flying by the seat of our pants today, Jannie and I. And
that's all right. We have a heavy list of topics.
Yes. So I'm Bridgette Dolgoff and Jannie Vaught, and we're the hosts of Carrying Stones and Digging Holes radio show on Revolution Radio freedomslips.com. You can go on to the website and you can find Studio A schedule and scroll down to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you will see the bee flying towards the flower picture.
Yay,
and that is us. And you can click on that and get more information on us. And since we're listener supported, while you're on the website checking us out and checking out some of the other shows, you can help us with funding for multiple ways. We now have large banners for advertising. People can advertise. They can contact the website to, see if they want to do monthly advertising on our website. Also, there's funding. You can donate, and heirloom seeds, all kinds of different things that you can do to help us. So with that, so now we've opened, and our show is every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 10 a.m. Pacific. I get on Pacific, and I think Jannie gets on. Are you on Central or Mountain?
I'm Central, I believe, and I'm noon right now.
Yeah. So,
cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have people on from all over, but look on there and every Saturday, and we have different guests, and we have some amazing guests that are lined up through mid-August at this point. So we're pretty excited about all the amazing people that we're having on. So I was thinking about this the other day. So there's quite a few topics we're going to talk about, but a lot of the kind of farming topics are going to be at the second hour. So Jannie wants to talk about drought and cold with your trees, because there's a lot of climate stuff changing. And we'll give a seed update about the corn and stuff like that. But I wanted to, for those people that are like dealing in drought, I just wanted to bring like a rain altar idea. So I was working with a Paiute elder doing these water well ceremonies for, water and raising the vibration of the water. And he told me one time, he said, well, why don't you just, mess with water? Why don't you create like some kind of rain altar? And really gave me no direction. And so I kind of had to go out on my own to kind of figure it out. But the indigenous people have a lot of things that most of us would not consider technology, but are big technology, that are big technology that run on, if you want to call it, the quantum field or whatever kind of field that you want to, attach it to. So a lot of it deals with codes and frequencies and structures and lots of different things, like the 4 parts: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual components. So we did this water well ceremony on this property, indigenous land property. I was caretaking it for a winter. There were a lot of sweat lodges, going on the property. So my teacher, Paiute, he did the water well ceremony there. And then so after, I decided to build a rain altar right on that area. And I just used, simple things. I found some concrete pipe rounds, small ones, and I stacked those. And then I actually found a metal, plate that went over a hole that said water on it.
That's cool.
Put that in there. Yeah. And then out in the desert, I found this area where there was like this really ancient river creek bed, right? That probably ran a really long time, but it's probably been dry for 100 years or so. So I went in there and I grabbed a stone out of there that kind of had a dip, like a little bit of a bowl in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put it
some waterware on it. Yeah. Okay.
Because it knows about water, and it knows about water from longer than I've been here. So, so I put that on top. And then I kind of had to fake it till I make it because I didn't really know. So, did my offerings and tobacco and all of that, and kind of let the structure know and that little spot know that I was going to be using it for rain because we really needed rain. This is during the time where the Truckee River was completely bone dry. There wasn't even like a puddle in it.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Anyway, so what I did was I actually did an experiment with it, and it worked unbelievably good. I mean, probably better than it worked unbelievably good. So what I did was I would fill up water bottles, and then in the morning I would go out and I would have the same, movie that I would image in my mind and I would play. And then once I played that, then I would pour the water over that rock and down the whole water altar to the ground. And then I would leave my offering, like a tobacco, and then I would walk away. And in 3 days, the exact thing that I visualized came. and it was this light mist rain, right? Which is really rare for our area because we don't really get that kind of stuff. And it lasted for, about 5 hours. And then so the second time that I went out to the rain altar, and then I visualized something more, like 3 days of just pouring down rain. Thick rain, big raindrops, and how it felt, like the temperature, if it was cool, and what it smelled like, and just added a lot more details to it. And then I imagined myself going to sleep and waking up, going to sleep and waking up, going to sleep and waking up, and it was still raining, with the thoughts in my head like, wow, 3 days of rain, wow, kind of a thing, at the end of 3 days. So I visualized that. Then I poured the bottle of water onto the stone and down the altar. And then I left my tobacco. And then I swear to God, 3 days later, we had 3 days of just downpour. And it was like, it was at a time where people couldn't believe it. It was like shocking because it's like, this is just not, normal. So the third time I worked with the rain altar before I moved from that land, I actually tried to, put snow into it, imagining, like 12 feet of deep snow in the mountains or whatever else. And we didn't get any of that for the next year, but it dawned on me that it was a rain stone, you know what I mean? Not a snow stone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So one thing about these kinds of technologies is that you have to be like totally specific, right? And you can't use these things for bad. These things will not be converted to bad. So, you're using them in a way where it's good for everything and the environment. And if you needed to, you could actually, so it's, the energy that goes into it, that you're working with this stone that understands water, and you've got this space and you're projecting this imagery out. It takes the energy behind it is your intention and attention, because you're focusing, you're standing there with your full attention on multiple levels and different kinds of brain structures in order to, communicate telepathically with the stone in the altar. So, and then what else goes in is your intention, your intention, your guided imagery and your tobacco offerings and your prayers and all that other stuff. And then also there's also the act of imprinting as well, because early on, I told the stone that I gathered from this old ancient riverbed, that this is kind of like what I needed. I needed to find a way that I could activate, water to the area. So, I also am imprinting on the stone and the stone's imprinting on me, so that we can build a relationship and work together about this water situation. But, I was thinking that, some people, and that shows you that this whole system is a holographic program.
Right. Yeah.
When you can do these kinds of things. But then I was thinking this morning, okay, what happens if you're in a place of too much water? You may be able to, find some other types of energies and create different kind of altars to kind of help, to that you can actually work with, that you can do some intentional attention work with imprinting to maybe slow it down, in some way, shape, or form. And I don't really know what that looks like. I've never really had to slow it down. I've always lived in the desert where we need more water. So, but, everybody out there always wants to know about how they can, fix things. And so, it's very important that you have, that you're building these, I don't know, let's call them sacred technologies, so that you can use them in a good way to change things. I mean, they're not meant to use to manipulate and control. You put your information into it, and the stone is like acupuncture point, and it sends out transmissions and signals. And then, there's always going to be that level of everything choosing to work with you or not, based on your relationship of having worked with it or not. So sometimes you're going to get exactly, what you've seen or projected. And then sometimes you're going to get, maybe something else. So, because you also have all these other things that have to come into play that have living energy, or, part of the design and part of the technology. So, like our planet is part of, a galactic technology, and how it spins, how it walks the circle.
Yes, that's right.
So
yes, the family keeps getting broader and broader as it goes out.
Yeah. And so anyway, so just kind of like some ideas with rain altars. If you need water where you're at, be really mindful about your projections and how you build it, and you really want to keep it sacred. And if it does water, or it does rain, that's what it does. It does rain, right? And then if you want to build one for snow, or for different for like growing your trees in your yard, or helping with say you're overpopulated with bugs, I mean, you could always try to put up an altar that helps you to manage your bug situation in a good way. So lots of different kinds of ideas that you can work with that, and hopefully help with drought. And if anybody ever does any of this kind of work, and you can slow down some of the flooding or the massive rain, or whatever's going on in your area, or you slow down a hurricane, could you please email me right away and tell me what you did? So just
right on.
Just curious.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to offer? You have anything that
okay. Let's go with location. Are you looking so if you're in a little city, a heavily populated, do you want to find a little hidden place in your yard? Or do you want to try to get close to a water source? You know what I'm saying? So as you're getting ready to put your altar, so you have your little sacred stones, and you have your intention, and you have your tobacco and your cornmeal and your sage and everything that's all ready. Where do you go? Where is the optimal? You don't want it in a place of high traffic, or it might work with high traffic. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think most people, even if it was in high traffic, most people would not even notice it.
Yeah, that's true.
I would bet maybe one.
You could do it on the corner of a sidewalk and nobody'd know. Yeah, right.
Maybe 1 in 200 people would be like, "Whoa, what's that?"
Yeah.
So, I don't think that is an issue, but you kind of need it in a place where it's going to be close to you, because if you're going to be working with it every day, until you can figure out how it switches on and off, right? And how you work together with, say, the stone. But I think the big thing is, finding a stone that's old, maybe has a lot of lichen on it, and you can find it from an old, like riverbed or something like that, and it has a little dent in it that can hold the water, so it can hold the imprint that you pour on it for at least a bit of time. And then think about this: a bird comes in and drinks out of it, and bees, in the desert, we don't have a lot of water, so the bees and the butterflies and all the insects and the wasps and the birds come in and start looking like around 2 o'clock when I'm going to water the garden, right? When it's really, really hot. So if you have a stone, make sure, that it's big enough that you're also utilizing, bee medicine, bird medicine, insects that want to come into that area that, can take the water and the vibration out with it, because they're wanting the same thing, especially if you've been in drought, they're desiring the same thing, so that they can help kind of build the medicine, and the projection and the holograph that goes out. So I think the size of stone, kind of the shape, and where it comes from is the most important part, and what you choose to put under it, to raise it off the ground, is important. And I think the other really big important factor was that the water ran all the way down to the ground in the soil, down the whole altar.
Right. So you're combining the elementals also with air and in the sky and the stone down to the earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so, I'm getting that.
Yeah, and then I think the thing is to leave it and allow it, to leave it and allow it to do what it's going to do. And, you know, I noticed on average, at least the work that I was doing with the rainstone that I had, it took like 3 days for it to activate. And I'm not really sure about that or why. And so for 3 days, I would be like stressed out, like, is it going to happen? It's not going to happen.
Sure, right.
And then it did. So sometimes I think, you know, doing the intention and then letting it drop from your mind so that you can open it up to what people call the quantum field, which is all potential happening simultaneously. Because I think the more that we think about it after and worry about it, is we shut down its potential of what it, you know, can manifest and attract or whatever, if you want to use mainstream words.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, and most of all, I think that you get a calling to do it. You get a sense of, is there something more I could do here? Maybe I need to do something more.
Yeah.
And wring my hands and worry about it. Be a little more active and actually thinking about it and be conscious about what you're doing and the location and how it's stacked and how it's laid out. And I really believe that spirit guides us, just like your teacher taught you. Well, why don't you go work with that water for a while? You know, or letting you figure it out, letting you learn something. And you know, we never know what will develop. Just because it's a little bit different than maybe what they had seen before doesn't mean it's wrong. It might just be that because we're constantly changing, it needed to change a little. It needed to be activated and to change. So, you know, it's like, you know, random drawing, you know, just, you know, scribbling or drawing things. Also, you know, we start activating our brain and right and left side. And I like to take some moments when I do this kind of energy and I activate. I will actually walk in a circle clockwise, and I'll stop, and then I'll walk the other way, reverse clock. Then I'll stand there, and then because I want to activate the energies. And, you know, and when some people say that, they don't quite get it, but do you use a compass? That's activating energies. That's using magnets and magnetism. And there's no difference in then you walking around and sensing, or walking around with a pendulum, or walking around with a water witching stick. All of these kind of things actually work on magnetism and running through your nervous system also. Because there's some people who are highly tuned in. Their systems are highly tuned in to Earth magnetics and Earth energies. Some of us would say that. And we just really get it. Those things really work for us. And there's some people, those things don't work, those tools. They're more adept and comfortable just to walk and to feel. And they'll feel pulses come off through their feet or their hands, or they'll get a sense of right or wrong, or I need to go this way or that way, and guidance in it. So it's really a tuning in. What works for you? And sometimes we have to try them all. we kind of put on this little thing. I call it I'm going to put this coat on for a while and wear it. Let me see how that feels. Okay, how does that work? And then I store that away in my brain compartment, in my library, in my massive brain I have. And then I can always go back and pull that information out. It's never lost, and it's never useless. It's all learning, and we're all filing constantly into our experiences and what works. I think this is a wonderful thing, and I am going to be working, and, you know, I kind of got a feeling where it needs to be, but I'm going to check it out. Science tells us, this is really interesting. I learned this from a botanist. And she said, we did some studies on how close does a little small herb garden need to be from somebody's back door, and you would say kitchen back door. How far does that need to be that they're going to actually use it? Because you can grow something beautiful, but if it's out of your pattern, it's out of your way, they don't usually use it. And it was 25 steps. 25 steps from their kitchen door. They are more apt to go out there and have their basil and their onions and their chives and whatever, their oregano and different things in their herb garden that they can go out to. And what I have also found that 25 steps to my workbench is perfect. I might have workbenches farther away that have bigger tools. But if I have my screwdriver and my screws and nails and tape and whatever I need, and it's even less than 25 steps, I am more apt to go and repair. So I bring this kind of energy into, if I put it too far away, I might not get it in my energy field. I might kind of get busy in life and go, it's not raining. I don't think I've gone over there and activated that filter every once in a while. And so for some people, it might need to be 25 steps away or closer to the house. In the house, I know the Navajo will have a little pile of red dirt in a room somewhere. Looks like a little volcano piled up there. And people come in, they go, you got dirt over here? Yep, that's my connection to Earth. I always keep that. That's Earth. That's always their connection to Mother. Is always in their house. Of course, if you live in a hogan, they have dirt floor. But the ones who are in houses, they're authors, they will bring the earth in. And often they will have a water offering, a dish of water somewhere, and even some corn laying around, or some food, or some pollen. So they have little things, and you wouldn't notice unless you were of their tribe and their consciousness. So I think as we are broadening and waking up as humans, we're making our own also. We don't always have guidance from teachers or elders or medicine people. They're getting few and far between, quite honestly. And so we're having to tap more into our own intuitions. And if we can do that purely without being impulsed by something you've seen, or something you've seen, on a movie, for example, that's all play pretend. You have to realize that's pretend. And when you tap into your own, and you say, I would really like to be part of the Making It Rain, how can I do that? Well, I listened to Bridgette, and she talked about building this lovely little altar. How does that work for me? And there's no right or wrong, and I think with the intention we set a good movement of energy, and it stops the frantic. This is what I see happening, because we are in a severe drought here in Texas. I mean severe. It's not just us. Missouri, they're selling their cattle. I mean, everybody's herds here are pretty small from 2011 drought. I mean, you cannot, it was just rows and rows and rows of cattle trucks going out because they couldn't water them. And they were dying. So they would take them to market. They were going to butcher. So, or to other places that could feed them or had water. They would transport them out, water them and transport them out. Now, there are people right now in Sweden who are butchering cattle and burning them because they have no grass or water to feed them. Now, how devastating is that? Personally, I would not do that. I would put that all in the freezer. I would do something. I would rally the troops. We would all be figuring this out. But we are in a serious situation around the planet. And it's not just us. Either it's severe flood, snow, frost, freezing, no water, and extreme heat. So there's no easy thing happening right now. And so when we engage our spirit with spirit, whatever your belief system is, make that connection, then you quit wringing your hands. You quit being frantic. And you quit oh my God, what are we going to do? because you now engage the energy. You activate the energy. And you do something. You do something wonderful and positive. And for me, first thing I do is gratitude. When I go out and I have no water, we're on very limited water. I have not broke into my big rainwater storages because every time I go, I hear a no, wait. No, wait. Everything's okay. It's still alive. You have till August. And I did that in July. And they said, no, wait. No, wait. The river is still holding for you. So I'm like tuning in because once I use that rainwater, those are empty. Those tanks are gone. And so I'm trying to be very, very tuned in and not go frantic, knowing I can have water. I have water. Because what did I do? I prepared years ago. You know, and they were all laughing at me. I know, seriously. And they might laugh when you want to put up a rain altar. Or we went down and did chi water during the last drought, and I'm still doing chi water during this. And I make water, and it says chi love, and put positive things in it, and let it sit, and I go down to the river, and I take cups, and I bless it, and I pray, and I thank the river for everything she's given me, and I pour the water in the river. And when we were in the worst drought, in 2011, the river went up 2 inches. It was me and 3 other ladies went out, and we did chi water. And everybody was like, wow, boy, some creature, something must have opened up. I was like, well, I don't, yeah, you can think whatever you want. But we all knew that we went out and we poured chi water out there. So we activated energy, be it a altar, that could be part of it, could be doing chi water, could be doing rainwater collection, which should have been done by now. But can you start getting your things together? You don't have to spend any money. I found old PVC pipe. Oh my gosh, there's PVC pipe in every lawn and branch and thrown away, and boy, people don't want it. I picked it up. I hauled it home. And I used a snap line and I cut it right in half. Just use my little saw. And I tell you, I am not a good person with tools sometimes, but I can get it done. Then I drill holes, and all I need is even a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch slope from where I'm going to bring that water to put it in my storage. Doesn't need to be much. Drill holes in it, put some screws on it. I've got catchment. And I spent nothing on it. And you'd be surprised. I call it sky water because what can activate an altar, what the animals drink, is sky water. It's dew. Dew comes in, and they literally lick the dew off the leaves and the grass. And dew will come in and bless the stone. Dew will come in, even in a drought. I've seen it drip out of my rain catchment when there was not a drop of rain anywhere. It's that natural moisture that comes up, and the plants evaporate, and they exhale, and the moisture comes up and comes down. So what do you want to do, people? You know, be worried and wring your hands? Or do you want to be part of this? You know, activate the energy. Ever how you do it. If being in a prayer circle and holding hands works for you, yeah, do that. If building an altar like Bridgette just shared with you, do that. If making chi water works for you, do that. If preparing to catch rain, even now, because the rain will come, do that. But don't stand and be in panic and fear, because that just feeds this negative energy that is so ripe on our earth right now. They just want all the energy they can harvest off all of us. And they do it by stirring us up and getting us upset and making us worry and frantic. And once you know that's a part of it, the earth is going through her cycles and doing her thing, and there's manipulation going on also. And science is manipulating, and there's dark energies manipulating, but you got to know that also there's more beings of light. And sometimes all we have to do, as with that altar, you are asking for assistance. Sometimes we don't have it because we didn't ask. Hey, why don't you go out and ask? I want some rain. I would really love some rain. I'm so in gratitude. Thank you for this opportunity for me to learn and me to experience and me to wash off and disengage the fear energy and the negative energy and be active and go into the positive and the wonderfulness of it all. And it's easy.
And the other
just told you how to do it.
Well, and the other thing too is you gotta feel it. You gotta fake it till you make it. So
Sometimes,
don't forget
yeah,
that when you're out there praying for rain, remember what it feels like hitting your face and hitting the ground. And you have to witness that before it'll happen. So don't forget the feeling part and the imagery part to go along with it.
Right.
Because you have to telepathically communicate with the things around you. That's part of it.
Yes, you do. Right. You have to be a good listener sometimes.
That too.
Yes. And just to be able to hear. And ask what do you want, what needs to be done here. And being observant. And what is happening with the earth just around you. We aren't responsible for what's happening in Australia. I am standing in my spot. I brought this big question in Vision Quest once, and I was like, I had all these questions, about the world and all this, and then it came back and it said, you need to just be still, hush your mouth, and look down. You're responsible for that right there. That under your feet. Okay, thank you. I got it. And it was my world, my space. And it's not that I never reach out. We're reaching out right now. Or I don't expand my energy and go a little farther. But that's not my bigger picture. My bigger picture, and in severe situations, your bigger picture can get really small. It keeps pulling in and pulling in and pulling in. The boundaries keep pulling in. And you get more focused on this one, just your area. And like, how am I going to keep my pecan trees alive right now? They're a big question. And so I go out and I ask them, which is going to be our next subject in the next hour, but it really is, it's all dialed in together because our green cries out. Our trees, and we already know that. We knew that. And science finally picks up that they emit an endorphin. Trees emit a gas, or if you will, something. They send out their prayers. Let's put it that way. And they call for the rain. And the trees call for the rain. And when I'm walking around, I tell my trees, this is all the amount of water I give you today. You need to call for rain, sweetheart. You need to call for rain. Okay, we'll do this, and I talk to them like that. They're my family. My trees are my family, and I'm not disengaged or disconnected from any of them. And so we have these conversations. I know it's hard for you right now. It's hard on me too. It's hard on all of us. But we all just need to call in the rain. And just like they'll get stressed and they'll call in borers and bugs. Different things. So you want to keep even your energy around you, your trees and your plants, uplifted. And that is where even placing an altar in a situation like that, it brings up the energy. Yes, Bridgette, it brings up the energy of everything. Everything around it. It engages it. And they're able to be telepathic. They're able to communicate with one another. We know trees and plants talk. They talk to us. The soil talks to microenzymes. Massive amount of activity and light going on below our feet. It's engaging all of this energy. And we might think we're just out there making a little altar, but we're not. We're engaging a massive amount of energy and making a device, if you will. We'll use that word. We're making a technical device. And I know it looks rudimentary to some people, but these are powerful devices and able to direct energy specifically able to pull in energy, able to expand energy, and I have no idea what else they can do. It's beyond my scope of consciousness at some point, because it's just so big sometimes. So
Yeah.
if you're feeling like you want to do something, Bridgette just shared something really wonderful. A water altar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start engaging people.
Yeah, and the other thing was, I was sitting here and I was thinking about it while you were talking, because this morning I woke up and I just was really, set off just by a lot of different stuff. I'm getting ready to go on this trip and, to meet more of the native seeds and work with them and work with people who are working with them. And I really feel like I'm supposed to go on this journey, but it seems like the closer I get to it, I get a lot of stuff done. But, the money part is kind of struggling along in order to be able to get in the car and drive. So this morning I woke up and I just got really frustrated over the whole thing and just kind of had like a mini nervous breakdown. And then, before the radio show, it was kind of one of those mornings where you don't know how you're going to get yourself out of the bathroom. You got up, you got in the bathroom, and then you're like, I'd rather shut the door. But then one of the things I was thinking about, like with the rain altar, so, another thing that we can use to, have an intention and activate and imprint on the world is, I use homemade rolled cigarettes, and I've started to put my own like herbal medicines that I work with in my cigarettes, and I use them as prayer smokes, because I'm, I don't carry a pipe, so I have to, I have to do the work anyway. So, so one of the things I remembered just now when Jannie was talking after the whole altar thing is that is a technology device that I'm using as I'm putting it together, and I'm rolling it and I'm sealing it, and then I'm releasing it. I'm releasing my prayer by smoke into the air, and it travels, everywhere, and it means that, it takes it to the spirits and the creator so that they can, hear your kind of prayers. And then, so say for example, you don't really know what to do with your future, what your part in everything is. You can give tobacco offerings just on the ground, throw them in your car. Like you wake up in the morning, you go, God, I don't know where my life is headed. And then you've got to go to work, open that door, throw in your, hold your tobacco offering, pray over it, and throw it all over your car, right? Because now you're going to be leaving and traveling. So it will help you to like figure out what your future is going to be like, what your travel is going to be like, what your road. But I was thinking about too, I think what's happened here, Jannie, is I have totally forgotten to sit down and do my prayer smoke, to talk to, the beings and spirits in New Mexico and Texas to let them know of my intention to come. So I'm like starting to realize like, oops, I forgot my important part, so that they know that I'm coming, so that they can help support me in that. Otherwise they don't know it because I haven't officially notified them yet. And so I could be blocking some of the money that I need in order to go on that trip. And they may block it because I haven't done the right thing either. I haven't sat down.
Right. First things first.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I would like to share I'm not going to share the whole pipe ceremonies because that is a specific training. But as I was sitting here and you were talking about it, I went, oh, I don't know if she knows this piece because it is a really good piece. And I'm going to go ahead and share it. So when you load your tobacco, you say your prayers over it, okay? And each pinch you put in, you say, let these prayers be good and no one be harmed. Tap 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. And you take your pinch of your herbs or whatever, your tobacco, and you place it in, and you let these prayers be good and no one be harmed. Tap, tap, tap. So you load it. And with you being a smoke, you would then engage, roll it, and then you need fire, okay? So you strike it, and then your first puff is to the north, to the buffalo. And then your second puff is to the east, and you actually turn and puff and blow to the south, which is over your shoulder, puff and blow to the next shoulder, puff and blow above, puff and blow to the earth, and then puff and blow and wave it over yourself to the sacred center. Then, this is a big piece. Then you puff and you hold it, and you turn the lighted end out, and you turn it clockwise, so everybody you've called into the circle, you call them all into the circle, and they're all sitting there, so everybody can have a little smoke. Do you understand? You're not tucking on it. You're holding it out from you, and you turn it. And you turn. So everybody gets some smoke. You get it back to yourself, and then you engage the smoke again. And then you waste it over yourself. And this is not the whole ceremony, but it's a very important part of it. And it's letting everybody you've invited, hey, come on in. You call them all in. You call the buffalo and the eagle and the bear and the coyote and the wolf and the birds. You call the ones who fly and the ones who swim in the sea and the ones who crawl on the ground. You call the ant nation and you call the snake nation. You call them all in. And they're sitting in the circle with you. So everybody needs a little puff. Everybody needs to engage in the ceremony. And if anybody didn't know that before, you can start doing this. And bringing this, it makes it, right now I'm just like spinning even talking about it, because it is such an important part of the Chinupa, the prayer pipe, is that we don't own it. You don't own those herbs. You don't even own the smoke. The smoke belongs to the Divine Earth Mother and to the White Buffalo and to the spirits, everyone you've called in. All these individual beings, all of the birds and the bees and the ants and the trees and the flowers and the seeds. Everything is sitting there now. And all your guardians and your parents and your people and those people who are on the other side. And there's even some people, all of a sudden, they hear and they see a ceremony and they'll show up. They might not be in skin. They might be in spirit. But they will show up just to come and have a little visit and to help you out. And when you first engage, only those of the light may attend. Be very specific. Even when you're building an altar, only those of the light may participate. Use of dark or negative energy, you are cast out, you may not participate. You may not come here. So even when I do water, rainwater collection, I do those same kind of intentions, those same kind of prayers. Because I don't want negative energy pouring into my pipes and into my storage units. I want those of light and goodwill. And by using those protective prayers and intentions, we will get those of light. And the ones of dark, they can't come. They just simply cannot come. And I don't have to pull out my sword and do a battle, which it's exhausting. There's some very vicious ones out there right now. Really want to harm and take and feed. And they are not allowed. You have to be very clear. So when you set up these intentions, if you're going to set up a water altar, if you're just going to stand out there and pray for rain, make sure you call in the good ones. And the ones who you don't want around, or shouldn't be around, are not allowed. Be very specific. And whatever prayer you use, whatever comes through your mind, in your heart, mainly through your emotional heart space, I would say, if you can get barefoot, touch your feet on the soil as this is happening. So there's no plastic or rubber. Leather shoes are different, or moccasins are different. They're considered bare feet. Be as close to the soil as you can be, as close to the mother as you can be, and put that protection up. Because we desperately need protection now, because they're coming at us from all sides and all angles, and with mischief and meanness. And sometimes when we engage these energies, they hear it too. And it riles them up a little bit. But just know, it's like a naughty child. You need to go away. Go have your tantrum over there. Because I'm not having you have your tantrum here.
So we're getting ready to, and we're getting ready to come in for the top of the hour commercial. So if you need a restroom break, a little snack, some water.
Awesome. Boy, that was
get back.
Rennie.
I know. Get back to the show, and we'll be coming back after the hour. The other thing, too, is I just want to say as a baby, I've been a baby kind of purse smoker now for, 10 years. And I do carry cigarettes that, I buy at the best grade that I possibly can. That I carry with me, and they're only for sacred use. And I call them my 911 package. So,
you can even write on the package, you can write intentions on the package.
Yeah, it's my 911.
It's like you can make seawater. You can do the same thing with those.
It's my emergency system broadcast. So if things go haywire, say my car breaks down, and I don't know what I'm going to do, I sit down and I send out, my purse smoke and say, hey, calling all vehicles. We've got some distress. Could you please get in here and, help me? And, oh, by the way, I'm over here. So make sure, you don't go to where I used to be, but come over here where I'm at now. So sometimes, that's kind of how that I kind of deal, that I've had to also adapt with purse smoking and stuff like that as I learn and I go along. And I always, if I do have to buy tobacco, someday I'll have a farm where I can grow the kind of tobacco that I want to use and be able to give away. But if I do buy it, I always try to buy it from the native people. I always try to make sure that it is the highest grade that I can get because, I'm not going to cheap out on spirit.
I've been in areas where I ran out of tobacco, and the only thing I could get was a can of Bugle. And I left it and prayed over it, and it worked perfectly fine.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Okay, we'll be back.
Okay. Bye.
This is Barbara DeLong, host of Nightlight Radio, inviting you to join me on a cosmic journey, exploring a metaphysical montage of spiritual material, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between, including spiritual readings for those who seek enlightenment. Let Nightlight provide you with equal measure of light, love and laughter, insight, wisdom, and inspiration. Monday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on Studio B, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Well, I guess we don't have a commercial. So I have no idea. So hang in there with us. Yeah. All right. So since I don't hear a commercial, I am, see, I just don't know if we're online or not. I think I am. Anyway. All right. So anyway, I am going to make sure. Okay. All right. So it doesn't look like there's a commercial. And so we'll go ahead and continue on with the show. And I'll wait for Jannie to get back. So I will, second hour, we were going to talk about, seed stuff, trees with drought and cold, just a lot of different kind of more on the farming end of things. So
can you hear me, Bridgette?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I'm off mute. I'm back.
Okay, awesome. Well, I don't know if I don't think we had a commercial, so we're all good. So I just kind of came back on. I'm still kind of,
we got a power hit a couple days ago, and it actually was so powerful. I don't know what it was, but it knocked my inverter offline. That never happens because it's in a aluminum case, you know. So there's been, and our service has been very bad. Our Wi-Fi has been very bad. So, you know, there's just something going on. It's just kind of funky, you know. I think right now it's just do the best we can, right?
Yeah, I think that's kind of really the only thing that that we can do. And you know, the thing is if we're not on Jannie, then you know we talk to ourselves the whole time. But I got a lot out of it.
That's right.
So, and it means it's not being recorded either, and nobody's listening. So, but nobody has said anything to me, so I suspect that we're still on. So,
right on.
I know. So we'll just see how it goes. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to, we're going to talk about, we have a lot of things we're going to talk about for the last hour, more about, you know, trees and farming and stuff like that. But we'll start off the second hour talking about, so I've been thinking, you know, I have to build a structure and, you know, basic education tools for my combat veteran farms, you know, retooling and reskilling combat veterans. So that way when I have the land, then I'll be able to put together some protocols that kind of help people to know in any kind of given situation, you know, kind of like priority. So one of the things I've been working on is I worked on what I called protocols of protection. So what our human job is on the land, you know, say we're on the farm in the land. And so what is the first thing that we would protect to make sure that we, you know, did everything kind of systematically and what is most important. So now I'm calling them protocols for living on Earth. So
that's great. I like that. Can I take that?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just 1 through 6 that I have. And the first priority of all people, all of us humans who are living on the planet, the seeds, the current food, and the medicinal plants are in the number 1 category to be protected above all else and all other things. You know, to be managed and cared for and protected from bad things happening to them, because without them, we lose all of our medical capabilities, the medicinal plants, you know, and we lose all the current food. There could be a lot of death as well. And if we lose the seeds, we lose our future food. So,
critical.
Yeah. So that's the first one of the protocol, like the most important. So say I have combat veterans and they're on my farm for 2 years in the project, you know, they'll be taught this so that they know if anything goes wrong, okay, stop, drop, and roll. Okay, what's priority 1? You know, making sure the current food, the plant medicines, and the seeds are safe, right? Then the priority number 2 is the water.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of contamination going on or water theft or, you know, any of these things that are going on, pollution in the water, a lot of towns and cities, they dump a lot of sewage into the waterways. That, you know, really needs to stop above and beyond a lot of other things. Any kind of sewage being dumped in any kind of natural waterways, whether it's, you know, cleaned and, you know, put nice fluffy smell in it and whatever else. That stuff just does. There should be other things in place than others dumping the sewage and all the chemicals from all the businesses in the town into the river. That whole thing needs to stop. So, on the protocols, water being number 2, that's really serious. It's at the top. So as people, the protocol number 2 is to take care of, protect, the water. Okay, 3, protocol number 3 is the category of that is food preservation, food storage, and soil and ecosystem can also come into that. So the food preservation and storage, you can't live, your animals can't live if you don't have your food preserved. So any of your food preservation that you have on the land, has to be protected. That's 3rd protection category, and your food storage areas. And that's for you, and it would cover your land and your areas. So compost, is a food storage for the soil. If you don't have it like stored away, like something goes wrong and you don't have a pile somewhere that you can reuse to activate, your soil again so that you can plant those seeds, you don't want to lose, that. So compost for me falls in, cured compost falls in, food storage because it's the food for the soil, and it can be food for animals too, chickens and things like that. So,
oh yeah.
Okay, so the 4th category is the environment and your surroundings, and so you have to kind of figure out, like, wherever you're at, what that is. I mean, is your environment and surroundings the walls of your house and inside, right, that you need to protect or manage or care for, right? Is that where your food storage stuff is coming from? Is that where you hold your water, in a time of safety? Is that where your seeds are stored, your medicinal plants, which we already talked about in 1, 2, and 3. So your environment and surroundings, also knowing what's going on in the environment and surroundings. For example, if I saw somebody coming with a big poison truck, even to the edge of my land, I mean, I'd be on a horse over there in a second going, could you, provide me a list of the stuff that you're going to spray? Because obviously it is blowing onto my land.
Right.
So now you've moved into.
There's nothing wrong with saying no to these things.
Yeah. So
just say no. I don't want you to do that. No.
Exactly. And when you live in an environment in town, and you have, they put people on schedules now to spray their weeds and their trees. Right. And they come during the day when everybody's gone from 9 to 5. So nobody sees anything. So you're contaminating, not only your area, but you're contaminating, your neighbor's area without consent. And so you want to make sure that, you're really careful with these kinds of things that you're using. And it's okay to go tell your neighbor that, you're not hip with whatever they're spraying and it's coming into your side. And, protect your environment and your surroundings, because you've got to protect, So
that's right. And sometimes the city employees are not disclosed of what they're getting covered with.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Hey, let's give you a dose of prostate cancer.
Sooner than later, prostate cancer.
Yeah. And I think they knew that. Because now the science is so evident. The science is not hidden anymore. They all know. We all know what Roundup does.
Right. But you know what? They don't train people. Like, you don't see people come in little hazmat suits with masks anymore and spray. They give them pants and a shirt, and they send them out. And these people don't even really know what they're being exposed to. I mean, they're not even meeting, like the baseline safety hazards, because they don't want people to be alarmed. If the person gets into a hazmat
suit later on either, or liability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the fifth protocol for living on Earth is protecting the animals. The animals come after this, and this is just my opinion of stuff that I've been working on for for my own space, as an education tool. If I say people on my farm, I give them this. I say, this is the protocols that we have on our farm, and this is how we assess where we're at on the protocols and what we have to do. And they have that in their mind, and they see something going on. First thing they're going to do is they're going to check the seeds, and the plants and the current food. The next thing we're going to do is go out and check the water, So we'll have like a protocol set up. And so these are just things that we should manage in the outside world anyway. These are things that, should just be on our baseline protocol of living on Earth. That's why I call them living on Earth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the fifth one is the animals, all the animals, right? So say, for example, you're living next door to somebody and you see they have like 8 dogs and they're in the desert heat and they have no shade and they're on chains and they're fighting with each other and the people never go out there and pay attention to them and, they're not being fed properly. It's your responsibility, right? It's right there, your doorstep. It's your responsibility to try to figure out a solution for those dogs.
Damn right.
Instead of sitting in your house every day looking at them suffering out there. Or, for example, there was a horse out where I'm living in the desert. There's a lot of horse people out here. And I noticed that one of the horses in this pen down below, and I never really see anybody there. I could see its ribs from the road. I mean, quite a ways. I was like, wow, that's just not okay with me. And so I called and I said, hey, there's this address and there's this horse that, I'm concerned about. And I never see anybody there. I never see a car there. I never see any food out there for this horse.
Then it's probably considered abandoned.
It probably, it very well could be. But, this is the thing is that, so fifth on our protocol list, is securement, safety, health, everything that we can, for animals, right?
Right.
So we have to pay attention to that. The wildlife, I was really not shocked, but I did a little video on my YouTube. I found this really cool nest. I mean, like birds and beavers and bees and, pigs are like some of the best, engineers of things and builders and, but this bird nest had all kinds of stuff. It had fuzz. It had...
Yeah, I saw that picture. It was very good. Yes.
It had all kinds of stuff in it. I was just blown away what these little birds found and created this nest. And then, I saw some pink insulation in it. They had picked up pink insulation somewhere.
I know.
When they picked it up, they would have been breathing that in. Their little bodies can't handle that. It'd be roughing up their beak. Their babies would be in it. And it would be just, and that's the thing is, I don't think that we think about, all of our garbage and stuff that we throw out. And I watched out here in the desert, the garbage guys, they'll just throw your thing up and there'll be, trash left. A tin can, whatever else. They don't even stop to get out of the car to pick up all the garbage. And the garbage fell out of the can because they dumped it into their truck. And so I don't think, we have to really take care of the animals and see, check out what they're building their environments with and make sure that those things don't get into the environment. I mean, fishing line is the worst for birds. They totally go after it.
I think not to put string or yarn, because it gets around their little necks.
Yeah.
Not to put a little yarn or string out. Don't put any of that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just have to be, more mindful about the animals. The protocol of living on Earth is we're the keepers. We're the stewards. We're not, above. We're in service.
No, that's right. Right.
Okay. And then 6 on the list is humans. We come at the bottom of the list. So then under the protocols, once we make sure all the animals are good and safe, if anything goes down, then we check the humans. We see what's going on with the humans. So that's kind of my, protocols of living on Earth of kind of something I'm creating for future education on my farm. So that way people know they're not just standing there with their mouth hanging open if emergency happens. They'll know exactly what to do. They'll be able to go through that 6-part list. Okay, what's first? Oh, yeah. What's second? Okay, that's good. Third? Okay, not good. We need people over here to manage the 3rd part or the 5th part or the 6th part. So,
right.
So for me, trying to live more according with natural law, I have to simulate some, ways for us to figure out what we need to look at on the horizon, under natural law. And that, I want everybody to realize, like on my farms, when, we have the veterans and everything and the farming and the rehabilitation going on, that this is where they live. This is their home for whatever time that they're going to be there, and that they're all responsible for everything that's going on. And so that they know how to go out and handle it, as a steward, full power. Right. And in their stand. And if they have to physically protect it, then, that's sometimes what you have to do. If sometimes, you just have to be more mindful and check your animals and make sure they're not being caught in fences and, building nests that, out of materials that could be harmful. So, because, your sheeps are sneaky. That's why if people go watch Shaun the Sheep, everything on there is exactly how it is on a farm. One minute you look out the window and all your sheep are there munching and smiling at you, and you're like, oh. Then the next thing you're getting a call from the sheriff's department downtown because the whole herd has made it downtown, is eating all the flower buds. So yeah, you have to go down and get them. So you just never know what's going to happen, and be on alert. Okay, so did you want to talk about the trees and, drought and cold?
A little coverage on how to take care of trees mainly and your gardens in drought and severe cold. Because the top of my list is prepare. And you need to prepare. Any good gardener or farmer, you prepare 2 to 3 seasons ahead of time. So now I'm in the heat. I'm in midsummer, and I'm preparing for winter. I'm thinking already 2 seasons ahead. And it really is important, because you learn each season, and you go back and you keep records from the past years. I keep a garden journal, and I write dates and what was good and what was bad, and what I won't plant again, and how it was done, and I keep a record of it. And there's some people who even keep records of their daily temperatures, which I wish I was that good at it. I'm not. But you can actually go back and get the history of, temperatures in your area. But so let's look at trees. And the first thing we want to do is, let me be honest here. We want to be able to run our dishwasher. I don't own a dishwasher. We want to be able to take a 20-minute shower and shampoo and condition and shave our legs. You understand? We want to flush the toilet every time we put 8 ounces of urine in it. We want to waste 5 gallons of water. Now, that is all not okay. In any time, drought or not. Okay, so you start getting a reality soon as your water is restricted, and they're threatening to turn off your taps or reduce your taps or look at your meter and fine you, because they can tell when you've been running water and how much water you've been running. If they want to get real tough, they can come against you. So it's about how are you going to take care of the most important thing you have in a drought is your highest layer of trees. That is where your salvation is going to come, honestly, is that top, tall layer. Then you have your second story and your lower. So you have three layers. So how do you do that? So I went to the Arborist Foundation, and I do use their stuff because these are people who love trees and have done this with science for a long, long time. So what they do is they tell you to put a silker hose around the drip line, not around the main stalk of the plant, the tree. Okay, not around that big thing. You want the drip line, so that's your farthest limb where the water drips off. And trees are made, and everything is made so that they carry the water, and it drops actually to a root underneath it. They're all coordinated. How wonderful is that? So you want a silker hose around the drip line. You can put that on a timer, and then that could be timer can be set, and it's simple as what we call an egg timer on your faucet. You set it for 20 minutes, and then you need to watch. You can put a tuna can, if you will, a tuna fish can, underneath that soaker hose, and you can measure how much is coming out in an hour. So you can kind of get a gauge. The other way to do it is to use a small, solid metal sprinkler. And here they're called pound of water or a pound of water. They're really old school. And they're usually bright yellow. And it's just a metal sprinkler you put on the end of your hose. So you put that on very low at the outside level, and you see how far. You don't want to spray a lot. You don't want to have evaporation. You want it to stay within the drip line. And there's some people who actually put their tuna can under it, and they will measure. You're looking for how long it takes to get 1 inch of water in that can. Okay? And then once you get that 1 inch, you get it figured out that you stand there. It took me 25 minutes. You move that hose. You move it to the next where the outspray was. So the outspray meets outspray, and then you move the sprinkler around. You can do it that way. Okay? Another way to find out if you're getting enough water is you just take a little trowel. I've even used a butter knife, whatever I got, or a screwdriver, and you dig a small hole at the drip line 2 inches deep. And if you're extremely dry in those 2 inches of soil, you need more water. Okay? So those are some things you can do. That's coming from the Arborist Foundation. Another one is, this is really an old, and this is for like, I was listening to some ranchers and farmers who are having to sell their cows because they don't have any feed. And some of them are actually cutting down trees and dragging the trees into the field and letting the cows eat the trees. Now, that's a mistake. What they used to do was called pollarding. And it was before high-tech got in and we were making big round bales of hay and all this stuff. Okay? So you can take what is called a farmer tree, which is a native tree, like I will use, for instance, a mesquite tree here that we have. That is all edible. Those mesquite beans coyotes even eat them. Everything eats the mesquite beans. They can eat the leaves. They can browse through the trims, the deer, the cattle. Everything eats it. Okay? So they would take, and pollarding is, they would go about 6 foot up in the winter, and they would cut that tree off. Okay? They'd leave a few branches so it has a little green. So when it reshoots again, it will split and have 2 main stalks. Okay, or 2 trunks coming out. And there's trees in the Midwest that are all pollard. They come up, and they have two very big things come off, like a fork. So now when those started growing again, are all bushy, the cattle can come. It's lower. They can reach it. There's plenty of leaves for the tree to transpire and have this experience, but the cattle can graze. Okay? And there's another way of pollarding up, I think it's got another name, up a little higher. So they would have 2 phases they would cut these. And, it was a shame that we lost a lot of our trees to different blights and droughts and how the big trees were taken down in the big woods. It was really, it was devastating to our environment. So that is one way to pollard, and not cut the tree down and drag it in and let them eat it. If you need to cut a few limbs off and drag it in, do something like that, they'll eat it down to the wood. A cow gets hungry enough, It's not really that good for them. And even in Arizona, they would take a fire, blowers, and burn off the spines off prickly pear. And prickly pear is an invasive species now. It comes in from overgrazing, and it is a problem. But things get hungry, and they will eat it, and their mouths get full of stickers, and they get sick. So it's about being prepared. What can I do? Educate yourself. Look at nature. What can you do? And it's important to keep those shade, those layers. I'm after keeping my biggest trees are my elm and my pecans. My second layer are my mimosas and my fruit. My third layer are my persimmons and my native persimmons. And then I have lower bushes that are native salvia and different things like that, okay? So I want to keep that top layer alive because they're going to give shade and cool, and it's all about keeping these temperatures down in our soil. The worst thing you can do is to take your mower out, put it on the lowest you can get, and mow that grass and that stuff down to dirt. Now you've exposed your soil, you've exposed everything living to the heat. You're just baking it. You're making it to clay. There's some people think, oh, look, I covered it with rock. Isn't that wonderful? Well, you just made a heat sink. You just killed everything in there. You made it more hot. If you have to mow, jack that mower up as high as you can get it. And because you need those green things to be holding that root moisture and holding that water that they release at the night in the morning as dew and mist. So don't get overzealous. Sometimes it's not that pretty. And that is really an issue that a lot of people right now, because we've been mind controlled into thinking it has to be groomed and edged and weed whacked and trimmed. Well, you've killed everything. There's nothing native growing in there. You've done out all the weeds. Well, you've taken out all the medicinals. You've taken out all the chickweed, and you've taken out all the dandelions, and you've taken out all the other things that grow, the baby blue eyes, and the little things that grow on the ground, and the horse mint. Leave it alone. I do go after the spiny, really bad, khaki, burr clover, things like that. I take them out. I don't allow those so that so grass can come in. And then I use a mix called Scorched Earth. And I get it from Native American Seed in Junction, Texas. And you can buy it by the bag. And it is for overplanting native seed, which is, these seeds will go through the majority of the United States. Let me tell you the truth. I mean, for real. Because we're in North America. It covers that. Plant that in. And I overplant every year. And it takes a while. But that's that, preparing 2 seasons ahead. Because I will plant in fall my wildflower seeds and my grass seeds for next spring. Okay, that's when you plant those. So you need to get your scorched earth seeds or whatever you're going to use, your combo. You need to start getting it lined out now, or getting your budget plan to get it, at least 5 to 10 pounds of it, and cover your soil. Do not leave any bare soil. And this is where I'm not an advocate of using wood mulch. I'm not an advocate of that type of gardening. It is a nitrogen hog. It will steal all the nitrogen out of your soil to put layers and layers of wood chips. That is a bad idea, folks. What makes you think that's okay? You have this great big bed of wood chips and one little plant surviving in the middle. You're going to go hungry. If you want to use wood chips, use it for walkways. And 5 years down the road, at the bottom of it, and it's breaking down, and you can use that, then dig that up and use it. But don't think you're going to make some kind of wonderful garden by hauling a truckload of freaking wood chips in. This is what you want to do. You want to cover the ground, and if you have no pre-made straw compost, go to your feed store, buy a bale of hay, $7. Whatever you can get. If you can get straw in your area, all the better. I cannot get straw. I'm not in a wheat area or oat straw. I can get sorghum straw. And I can get alfalfa. Sometimes I can't get with a guarantee it's not been sprayed, but I know it's not been sprayed with certain things guaranteed my grower shows me. Okay? So sometimes you got to have a little wiggle room with this, And so any bare soil, you want to cover 8 inches at least. Just peel that off and lay it down. Peel it off and lay it down. Don't worry about fluffing it and all this. Just peel it off and lay it down. Get it covered up. And these are some really, really important things of doing preparation ahead. Now, okay, so I prepped ahead, and I'm still pulling composted straw. I'm still, because it'll eat it down really fast. I go out there and then even days later, it's like, oh, didn't I put straw down there? I need to put some more. So I put a little more. I take my pitchfork and I get my wheelbarrow and I go into my pile, which my chickens make my compost. I just bust a bale of hay or two, add into my chicken pen, and in 6 to 8 weeks, I've got compost. I rake it all up, my daughter and I, and it goes in a pile with some more. And then I start pulling off that pile just with my pitchfork, and I just lay it down. I just lay it down, I lay it down. And this also smothers grass. The grass and different things are a problem. So now we are in a drought, and we're kind of in a fix, folks. You really need to have some food storage. You need to have, just like the list that Bridgette gave you. This is not just for when she gets her area, it's priority for her, but you need to have this engaged now, okay? And one of them is a good, safe, airtight seed storage. Don't have them sitting in little baggies in the window. Now, I talk to seed savers. I give this class all the time. And I get coffee beans in a Mylar bag with a zip seal, okay? And I was talking to seed savers, and I said, I have a problem with miller moths. I can't have any of my weed or anything like, even in my kitchen. Everything has to be seal tight. Okay, she said, okay. She goes, this is what we use. She goes, we use those Mylar coffee bean bags. People save them for us. And we cut the top, and we don't even wash them. She said, we leave the coffee residue in the bags. It is an insect repellent. And then all of our seeds, if we even have them in little Ziploc bags, I don't like plastic, but sometimes it's handy, and you can use it over and over again in these situations. And it's marked and dated. It all goes in, squish all the air out, seal it as tight as you can, and then you have paper on the outside, and then on the outside I have 2017 this seed. I have 2017 mustard. I have 2017 this or that, and in that bag, and then I put it in a dark cabinet. Now, Greg has also taught me that you can even use corn seed that has been bug has eaten part of the germ. He said it'll even germinate. It's like the last chance that it can be used. So if you do have problems with bugs, because often things come to you with insect larvae on them, and especially corn seems to be, and grains, really susceptible to this. Put them in the freezer. I have a whole section in my freezer that my seed is frozen. And even certain seeds like peach and plum and those kind of nectarine seeds need cold units. They need to be frozen for a good amount of time, okay? So how are you storing your seeds? How are you storing them? Reevaluate. Because just because you have seeds and you're in a drought, sister, you aren't going to go out and dig a hole and drop this seed in the ground and have a meal the next day. Preparation, and especially in these times of great earth changes and our weather being so crazy, these grand solar minimums, and this projected mini ice age is coming our way. I don't know if it's coming or not, but I'm watching and I'm preparing. I'm not a mad person. I'm just being aware and preparing. If you don't have those seeds in the ground at the right time, you're going to go hungry. And you aren't going to grow enough tomatoes in a pot to feed your family. You need to have a community. To grow enough beans and corn to even feed you and a family of 4 for the winter, you need acreage. And to think that you're just going to grow it in a little raised bed, I'm okay, and I'm going to, no, you're not. This is an addition. This is a micro addition to the amount of food that you need. Support your local farmer. And that might be a farm her. So be aware. Who's growing what around you? Who has land that maybe you can go in and do a big corn grow out or a bean grow out? And first question, do they have water? Don't do all that work and they have a minuscule well that is not going to water these plants till they get to the point that you can harvest. You understand? Because we cannot be naive enough to think that the rains are going to come. They might not. Too much rain might come, not enough rain might come. Hey, this is the deal of farming. This is how it goes. So it's all about preparing. Who do you need to feed? How much do you need? And what do you need to eat? And I'm not talking about Dorito chips and prepackaged macaroni and cheese. If you have some of that and that's all you have stored, good for you. But you need good solid bags of beans, rice. Do you have water stored? Do you have a small, even a gas propane, a camp stove? Can you go out and put together a little rocket stove in your backyard? Sorry, I need to take a drink. Do you have enough water? Do you have a water filtering system that you have on hand right there in your house? Even a jar with some any kind of filtering system, or you can boil water. Then wow, how are you going to boil it? How are you going to cook those beans? All these questions you have to ask. You go from 1 to 10 really fast. And I remember once me and the girls were living in Durango, Colorado, and they had not trimmed the trees off the main wires in years. They'd just been very lackadaisical about it. And we had a massive snowstorm, heavy, wet storm, and it broke all these branches and trees right on the main. All of a sudden, it's 30 below. You can't even start your car, and you have no electricity. And boy, in that apartment we were in, there was no heat. It was freezing. We had everything on. And I beat the heck out of myself because I thought my dad would have pulled out his box. He had a box, a wooden box, and it had a propane stove in it. It had a skillet. It had a pancake turner. It had a knife. It had forks, spoons. It had bottles of water. It had some in a box. He would have had pancakes cooking on the patio and a pot of coffee made. And I went, that was such a shock to me. I mean, it was my big wake up. Plus, one of my daughters was horribly ill. And I had to run down and try to find some hot water to put in a hot water bottle and to get some hot tea down her because she was shaking so hard her fingers were blue. Now, what do? Let's go right back to keeping those trees healthy. Let's go right back to growing as much shade and protection on our soils and our properties that we can. If you only have a small patio, can you put it all under? Can you put a massive amount? Can you do a hydroponics? Can you grow up? Really get creative. How can you grow as much food as you need with properly saved seeds, heritage seeds, and stored properly that you're going to need? How much water do you have stored? Well, how are you going to filter it? Now let's just take another jump, because I live in Grow Area 8A, which is primo growing area. We have very short frost. Oh my God, last winter we went to 12 degrees for a long time. We never do that. 32 is freezing. That's when water freezes. And then there's some of us who farm and garden, and we're always looking at those temps every morning, man, every night. You're looking at those temps. You're looking at those temps. Do you cover? Do you pull? Because you're nursing those plants along that you've grown through fall into winter. So I am completely reconstructing my garden area. It's too hot for me to get out right now, but I'm pulling all my things I need together. And I use used things. I use old fencing posts. I do not try to go and buy, because I want to stay out of that energy of having to go. I'll go and buy if I have to, but I want to buy things that are going in the dump and nobody wants, and that roofing material that nobody wants. I'll use that metal, by gosh. I'll use those first cuts off that cedar tree from the logging place because nobody wants them, but I can make boards and they won't rot in the soil, and I can make big, massive raised beds with hugel beds inside. My thing is, how am I going to protect? How do I cover? And so here was my thing. I have hoops, and I've gotten away from plastic. I use burlap. And I get these things called wool bags, WOOL bags, wool bags from our local hardware store. I get 12 yards of 32-inch really good burlap in a long bag. I just take my thing and I unsew it. I do not cut it. And if I need to sew it and make specific sizes, I do. I can sew it on my machine, or I can sit outside with my needle and thread, and I'll make these great big covers. I use PVC pipe with a pipe that fits in it that I cut, and conduit, which is cheaper, and I need that conduit to go in about 6 inches and to have at least 3 inches sticking up. I put that PVC pipe, boy, it's really good. Just bend it when it's hot, and then I can cut it off a little shorter to make so I don't have so much head space or air space over where I'm covering. So about every 6 feet, 4 to 6 feet, I'm putting another piece of conduit in the ground, pounding it in, another 4 to 6 feet, depending on how close I want to bring these hoops. I got a piece of PVC pipe that's going to fit over this. I bend it, and I make it match side to side. Now I have all these hoops going down, and I cover with my burlap, and I use binder clips. You know those black binder clips that you can buy a whole box of them at the, Walmart? I use binder clips, and I make sure I can cover the bottom, and I use a big rock. I cover the neck, the bottom where I open, and then I use binder clips all the way down. Burlap is the deal, man. Plastic doesn't work, and that flimsy frost stuff doesn't work. Shade cloth, if you're shading, is different. The green shade cloth, you can use that for shading. Now what I'm looking forward to is this drought literally cooked I'd have gone hungry if I hadn't had food storage this year. It literally cooked the leaves off. Cooked them off. No matter how much water I could put on them, the UV was too intense. I don't know what's going on. It's weird to me. So I need, as my preparation, as my yearly preparation, now that I have shade cover, shade cloth, and winter frost cover. I cannot grow without these things. That is just a fact right now. And if you're a gardener and you've been facing this stuff, you need to get out and start figuring. I hope anything I've told you can help you. There are people who are literally building forms that they can crouch down and walk through the sides with their rows in between. They're doing narrow rows, and they can walk down the row long ways, and then another row, 2 long, narrow rows, and they're raising them up at least 3 feet high. And you can use hugel culture, which is logs and twigs and sticks, and then you fill it with dirt. So you're getting that sponge effect, and you're bringing all those enzymes and mycorrhizomes in, and they're doing it more permanent. And they're actually taking screws and putting shade cloth on permanently. Not just a drape and held on the binder clips, what I'm doing. They're putting this stuff on permanent shade so they can grow food. Now you think, boy, nothing, nope. The sun is so intense and the UV is so intense now that you got to have some kind of shade. And the ones I had under my trees and little pots and things, they did okay. They did perfectly fine. And the other thing I did was I brought in, I've talked about this before, but I brought in zinnias. Now, who knew zinnias? But you can get the giant zinnias. They're big, they're leafy, and you've got some color and some flowers. And I found out that they shaded my asparagus because the roots get hot. They shaded my tobacco. They even shaded some fennel that I had. And this was completely an accident because I was just planting some flowers and a little patch of flowers here, a little patch of flowers here. All of a sudden I went, oh my God, zinnias, I love you. And the flowers of the zinnia is your seed. At the end of the petal is a little arrowhead-shaped seed. Save all those flowers. Let them get very mature. They start turning brown, deadhead them, take them off, lay them out somewhere in your house, let them dry, keep them in a nice, safe jar once they're totally dry. Also can be used as medicinals. I'm sure there's a use for zinnias somehow. I haven't even messed with zinnias. I've used lots of other plants, but I am finding that nature is showing me what I can grow and what I can't. And even some of us, our melons didn't get fully grown. Our squash didn't get fully grown. When the heat turned on, they got misshapen. Some people had no cucumbers, which can be a problem. So you got too many cukes, so you got too many zooks. And but we got a basket of zucchini or yellow squash. We were just like thrilled. Now the other side of what's going on, because I have been doing the Save My Tree thing, is that I have got a load of pecans on this year. All 3 trees are absolutely heavy with pecans. And because of my chickens, and I feed birds, I feed doves, and I encourage hummingbirds to come in, and hummingbirds eat a lot of insects. Don't think they're just sucking sugar water. They eat mosquitoes. I have encouraged native birds in, and I have not had any of those, they call them walnut worms, that get on, and they really don't hurt your the fruit production, but they can make like a black mold or fungus that gets into the nut. So, no, but I've been preparing for pushing 10 years on this property. It's not going to happen in 1 year. It's not going to happen in one day. You need to look at your growing area, what has been happening around you. Ask other gardeners. I have a bloom where you're planted. It really is for our local people. I do no religion and no politics on it. Not allowed. And we only share garden pictures, and don't send me a picture. What plant is this? I just think you're a lazy dumbass. Go and find out what that plant is yourself. Don't ask me what bug this is. You're being lazy. That is wasting my time, and I don't allow it. Somebody starts that, they're off. No, you need to find another venue. I don't answer your silly questions. Go to the library and get a book, So, who's taking our energy right now on our planet? I don't know, but I know it's being messed with. I know this is not natural, or if it is, it's in a deep, old cycle that I am not aware of, and I do accept that. The deep, old historical cycles happen, and volcanoes blow off, and earthquakes happen, and things happen. It's a tumultuous time we're in. And let's start communicating. Because if I'm growing a field of beans and you're growing a field of corn, then you have 2 families. You know what I mean? Or I have a great peach harvest and you have a good pecan harvest. Or even if you're a wild crafter and you have herbs and different plants that you have gone and selected and dried and prepared or tinctured or have them all ready that I can trade and barter with you for my pecans because you need nuts. 2 things we're missing in gardening is fat and protein. And if you're not, and I don't raise animals for food, I raise chickens for eggs. That is our protein and our fat right there. And I grow nuts. Pecans are really rich in protein and fat. But I'm really fortunate in that I'm in an area that pecans are like historical. They're a native tree here. And so what can you grow? What can you start looking at? Get that first top cover going. How are you going to prepare for the next 2 seasons or the 2 years out? Have some food storage ready now, because if you're waiting for that garden, it might not happen. Don't be silly. Be smart. Have some water, have some things, have some way to cook it, have some ways to store it. You understand? So that's what I want to talk about. Because we get frightened when we get in a drought and we don't know what to do, but we do know what to do. If we just stop and pay attention to nature and possibly tune into this radio station, read the articles I write, because I do write about this, and even our local newspaper talks about how to store water. We have one of the best rainwater people, Billy Niffen, come August 2nd for a lecture at the Ag office. He's wonderful. Him and his wife live on absolutely no water, only rainwater. They live completely and fully on only rainwater in Menard, Texas. Try. He's got it figured out, you know. So educate yourself. Be aware. Just like Bridgette started out. Let's start right there. Let's start with spirit first. That's where we always need to start, is engaging and connecting with the divine and the Mother Earth that we're living on. You are a human of this earth. You don't live on another planet. You're a human on this earth. If you're hearing me, you're a human. You're on this earth. This is what you need to prepare for right now. And start with that. And then step one more thing. Look around. How am I, is my trees going to live through this? What's going on with my garden? Do I need to start a garden? Do I need to reconstruct? Do I need to really rethink? Do I need to look how to grow in deep cold or deep snow? Am I going to be able? There are people who are putting up hoop houses. I mean, seriously, going into some money. If I had the money, I'd put up a hoop house. I can build some other things, but I don't have the property space to do that kind of a thing. So what do you have within your reasonable aspects that you can use? How are you going to pull it off? Who's going to help you put it together? There's this thing in permaculture called permablitzing, you know, where I go to your house and we do a little project, and then you come to my house and then we do a little project, and then we hop over there. There's another third person that wants to come in, and then we do a little project over there. And it might be a big project. So we start helping each other and teaching one another, even having a class of how to make medicinal teas, how to make we just had a raw dessert. It was wonderful, by Jocelyn Brown. It was wonderful. Raw dessert. And she made these fantastic raw food desserts that we all got to eat and really learned a lot of how to use this, and then how to maybe use the products that we have around us so we aren't outsourcing all the time. So there's my list for this part of the program. How are we gonna do this, folks? How are you gonna do this? You know, it's what you have in your hands and what you have in front of you, and paying attention deeply to what do you need, and assessing the tools that are real necessary, not the trendy crap. Don't look at somebody they're growing something in Arkansas and they have all the doodads and their little apron and this that they bought. You don't really need all that. They tell you need a good shovel, you need a good hoe. You need some soil, and you need a way to compost. You need some good seeds, and you need some water. You don't need all the doodads. You need some trimmers, quite honestly, and some loppers. There's a few things you need, but you don't get caught up in the marketing, is what I'm trying to say. Because of this movement, there's a lot of marketing, and people who are just marketing who sold themselves out, in my opinion. It's my opinion. They might be making some money for this company. But again, where the hell does this plastic wind up? In the ocean, folks. You know, it breaks down, you don't want it anymore, you throw it in the trash, and then it's out floating in the Pacific. So be conscious, be aware of what you really need. You know, I can do more with a number 10 can that my local pizza place puts out in the recycling thing, that his tomatoes come in, and he puts them out for recycle. I'll get a whole case of his empty cans that he washes beautiful, and I'll use the heck out of those cans. They're my cans for everything. Mixing, watering, whatever, you know, and then when they get I can't use them anymore, they go back to recycle and they get reused again. So what do we have at hand, and what can we use? On to you, Bridgette. Sorry, took a lot of time.
It's fine. We're coming into the end of the show. We've just got a couple more minutes, and I just kind of wanted to share, you know, meanwhile, while we're dealing with what's going on in the present moment, you know, arming ourselves with tools and getting out there. The other day, you always hear from the elders, that, we're doing what we're doing for the next 7 generations. And I really didn't understand the time frame that the 7, each generation was in until the other day. And I was talking to a woman who is Seneca, but adopted the Lakota ways, speaks Lakota, raised her children in the Lakota ways. But she said, yeah, that's 500 years each generation. So when an elder tells you, like, hey, we're doing this forward for the next, 7 generations, they're talking about 3,500 years. It just kind of blew my lid off, because I had to reassess some stuff in me and also kind of get more jiggy with what's more important, and it all boils down to, it doesn't matter that we have all these health problems and healthcare problems. It matters that we straighten the earth out, because we'll never get well if we're not straightening the earth out. But anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have some to get those shovels in the ground.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free, but there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver Eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. Right! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio! The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests,